up? Welcome into your Daily Buckeye Blitz for a Wednesday. It's the hump day version. Say a prayer, September 11th, 2024. Think about those that were lost and then everybody that was lost after that, fighting a war. Um, it's one of those days that you always think back, like, at least for me anyways, I always remember where I was as one of those events where like I can run through my entire day schedule that morning and stuff. It's one of those things that's just I can't believe it's 23 years ago. It's nuts. Uh, Time freaking flies. Does not stop for any man. But anyways, on the brighter side, we appreciate you joining me. We're talking Ryan Day press conference today. We're going to talk about some of the highlights. I'm going to tell you what Ryan said, and then I'll give you my kind of interpretation or kind of decoding Ryan Day. So I like to call this the Ryan Daylights, right? Get it? Daylights, highlights, Ryan Day highlights. All right, just shut them together. Anyway, all right, let's get into enough of the comedy hour. So, starting off, Ryan Day was asked about the bye week and why it's called Improvement Week. He said it's a lot about time management. We're calling it an improvement week because we have to continue to improve. It seems pretty obvious, right? He wants to focus on the fundamentals. That's the number one thing this week is that all the position coaches are going to go back to their players and go through the fundamentals, what these players need to work on specifically. So this is a lot like spring ball, almost, just a compressed 1 week version. They're not going to practice too hard this week, but they will practice. And then, of course, they won't have a game or I don't think they're doing any kind of scrimmage or hard practice Friday, Saturday. And then they'll get back to game prep on Sunday. So anyway, I think this is obvious. You got to focus on the fundamentals. Like we talked about, if you caught the live show last Friday when I did the O-line breakdowns, those fundamentals that Jim Lachey was talking about with the O-line, those are the types of things you got to work on. Those first two steps for an offensive lineman are key. Finding that aim point on the defender across the line from you. Your first step is your position step. That kind of guides where you're going to go. Then your second step is that power step. And the line, his line that stood out to me was you want to aim for you want to move you want your power leg to go towards the defender's crotch. So just picture every defender across the line from you as somebody you want to knee in the nuts. That's basically what he was saying. So anyway, back to Ryan Day here. So the focus is fundamentals. And like he said, time management. So being efficient with this just few days that they have really to work with. So, but Ryan Day said he liked the effort and intensity from his players last Saturday against Western Michigan. He said guys played with emotion, guys played with passion. That's a good start. That's a good sign. But they're nowhere they need to be, nowhere near where they need to be. So, the other thing is they don't usually have 2 bye weeks in a season. It's a weird calendar. So these guys are hungry. They don't want to rest right now. They've got a lot of momentum coming out of that game. So it's hard to kind of, throttle it down for a week and then on Sunday amp it back up because Marshall's going to be better than both Akron and Western Michigan combined. So not a huge tester by any stretch, but they're a better opponent than Akron and Western Michigan. So focusing on the offense here, Ryan Day talked about the new schemes that Chip Kelly has brought to the table. He said that they ran some speed option Saturday night. That's something they really haven't done since Ryan Day's been at Ohio State. So he said Chip's had a lot of impact on the run game. It's pretty obvious. And you're going to continue to see more. This is my take on it. You're going to continue to see more diversity in the run game and things that we haven't seen before. So we haven't even seen like a 2 running back set or a pistol formation or a T formation, something like that. So that could be coming down the pipe. We saw Will Howard line up under center a couple times on Saturday. That's not typical. So Ryan Day talked about what he's seen from Will Howard thus far. Ryan Day said he's got poise out there. He's got a command out there that you can feel. He said he's able to take the practice and the meeting to the game. As time goes on, you'll start to see the ball come out of his hand with even more and more rhythm and more pace. And that last line, he's referring to maybe just being a split second slow with his release. Like when he was at K-State, he needed to see the receiver open. He didn't trust that they would be open. With Ohio State, he's going through this kind of still transitioning, not in a bad way, transitioning in a good way to throwing the ball before a guy even makes his break, right? So that's the thing you got to get used to. And it seems like it takes a while for some guys, especially if you've done things a certain way for 4 years. Now with the Buckeyes, Will Howard, he's got to just let it rip, and catch that extra split second, and that can be the difference between a play where a guy gets tackled for a 10 or 15-yard gain and the guy breaking it, because he caught it a little faster. The DB wasn't ready. He was able to break a tackle, whatever. So anyway, it's going to get cleaner, I think. It's pretty freaking clean right now, but I think that little split second of letting it rip, knowing that the play is there, that's going to keep coming and coming more often. Like the slant route to Jeremiah week 1 in Akron into the end zone, went right over the linebacker's hands in front of the DB. It was unguardable. He just dropped back, let it rip, one step drop, and let it go. More of that. Anyway, Ryan Day talked about the offensive line. He says, I think it was cleaner. There was effort. There were good plays. There was one play where Josh Fryer was running 50 yards downfield. There was a couple plays where Tagger Shabola was finishing guys into the ground. Put me in the ground. He said it's just a start. Bigger challenges are ahead, of course, but this is encouraging out of the O-line group, and I cannot agree more. I love seeing these plays. He talked about Seth McLaughlin specifically too. He said Seth's been a pro. He calms everyone down inside. He just has a calming presence, and that's a good feeling as a coach. He said, I do think having the tablet on the sideline is very helpful in terms of our coaching. He gives us great information and can help us with that in terms of seeing something in the game. So combination of McLaughlin being that kind of veteran presence that you need, especially along the O-line, and a guy that's been there forever, been on an O-line forever at a high level. Then he can go back to the sidelines, point out on the iPads, combination, kind of a coach on the field almost. So, yeah, O-line, I'm seeing nothing but good things. We got to continue this momentum though with the O-line. That's one of those areas, especially if Donovan Jackson comes back next week. Got to continue to build this cohesive unit, get them gelling together. So Ryan Day, finishing up on the offense here, talked about Jaden Ballard. He said Ballard had a really good offseason. He was recognized as gold. That's their top flight level they have gold, blue, red, something like that. I'm not sure if it's in that order, maybe green in there, but the number one thing is taking care of the ball. And so that has to happen. So we believe in who Jaden is, but we have to take care of the football. So we'll evaluate that this week. So he's referring to the kickoff issue. Ballard muffed one. So yeah, I think they're going to look at options at kick returner outside of Ballard. That's how I read that. But yeah, hit me in the comments if you disagree. On the defense, Randy talked about getting clarification on that horrible targeting call against Denzel Burke in the first quarter. He said that all he could say was there was a couple different opinions after the game. And he's referring to the officials. So really nothing got cleared up at all. Um, on what he said to Denzel after the call, he said he loved the energy. Um, he didn't really give him any coaching points. He gave him a hug and told him he gave all the effort he could. Uh, then I told him I'd go to bat for him, and I did. So, yeah, there's only so much you can do. Ryan Day can't talk a lot about it because he'll end up getting fined. His touchy referees can't take a criticism at all. But anyways, so anyway, on what he impressed Ryan Day the most about the defense was guys flying around, the energy, guys knocking back the line of scrimmage. They dominated like they thought they could. And I agree. There's not a lot to read into that. That's pretty cut and dry. Day said that anyone who's playing starter caliber should continue rolling into games, even close ones. He said, I think we had over 80 guys playing this game. That's good for team morale. I think Larry wants to roll guys at defensive end. He wants to roll guys at defensive tackle. I think that's up to each position coach. Exactly. So, yeah, 80 guys, that includes special teams. I think just on offense and defense, I counted 68. So you had a bunch of other guys helping out, chipping in on special teams, which is great. Because if you're sitting at the end of the bench and your number gets called, you're a young guy, it's awesome that you get into a game. It does definitely help your morale, and you feel like you're part of the team, and all that. So anyway, yeah, and rolling players, you have to, if the position coach says, okay, I got 4 linebackers I can play, then you got to get them in the game, especially against these garbage teams. There's no reason you can't play Arvell Reese in the first quarter, right? And we saw that against Western Michigan. So Ryan Day was asked about whether they have considered playing CJ Hicks along the line of scrimmage more in a pass rush capacity. He said, we have, but we need CJ right now to play at linebacker. We need to find a consistency there, and we believe he can do that at linebacker. He has to improve. We got to continue to grow. We've seen it. We see him do it. We know he can do it, but the consistency has just got to improve. So this is the same thing we've been saying for 3 years with CJ Hicks. Great athlete, excellent blitzer, does that job extremely well. They need him at linebacker. So if you reread that line, we need CJ right now to play at linebacker. So they want the depth there at linebacker. And where are they going to move him? They can't move him to D line. Who are you gonna bench? Jack, JT, Kenyatta, Caden Curry? No. I mean, and even the freshmen are getting in at defensive ends and defensive tackles. So he's got to improve. And they've been saying this. The coaches have been telling him this. It's just not happening. So unfortunately, I don't know. I don't know what the future holds for him. He played half as many snaps as Arvell from Saturday night, so it's not a good sign. Ryan Day raved about Tai Hamilton's commitment to the program, what he's provided to the defense. He said if he can continue to play and take off from where he was Saturday night, he can be an all-conference player. I think he already was on my short list of all-conference players, but anyway, yeah, he definitely can land that. Finishing up here, Ryan Day was asked about Kyle McCord's performance at Syracuse. He said, quote, he's off to a great start. I've only seen a few highlights. Looks like he's doing a great job. Happy to see him doing well. And Ryan Day he talked about he wants to retain the players as much as possible in reference to the portal and stuff. So he says he enjoys seeing his quarterbacks go and do well at other places. Even if you want to leave, it's still time well spent and invested. You want to see guys go on and do well, So, and he always talks about, recruiting the right types of people is the key to the program culture at Ohio State, and especially in modern college football with NIL and the portal being such a factor. So you got to get the right guys in there, whether it's recruiting, the portal, That's why a lot of times you won't see guys, Ohio State even go after guys, high end guys that are in the portal, if maybe they're not the best dudes. But it seems like they pretty much batted 1,000 with everybody they brought in the portal. Downs, Quinn Sean, these guys have been nothing but great teammates. Seth McLaughlin, everybody. So anyway, Will Howard, obviously the standard bearer there. That's Ryan Day. So let's improve this week, work on those fundamentals across the board at every position. You can always get better. And let's kick our feet up, watch the rest of college football implode this weekend. So got a few good games to look at. So anyways, that's all I got for you today. We'll talk Jim Knowles and the defense tomorrow. Talk to you later. Go Bucks.